What's up, guys? Welcome to Munchkins Gaming, where we take your gaming to the next level. This is Munchkins logging in to bring you another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video, and welcome back to another video guide. And in today's video, we are going to take a look at Cid Raines' character event's Lufenia fight. Now, before we do start, like always, like and subscribe if you haven't already. It does help the channel, guys, and I really do appreciate it. And now, without further ado, let's start this video. Alright guys, so we'll start this off as always in how you're going to deal with the Lufenia orb, which appears when you hit less than 80% of the boss's HP and will not disappear from there on. You can get 8 Lufenia orb counters when the target takes over 250k damage in one knockback, and that is not including the damage that you do while you're on the ground. It has to be up in the air. You get +1 when you knock back the target, so few characters that can do this: Cid Raines, Keys, Lael, Sync, Fujin, Tifa, and Cloud. Now, I do have to let you guys know that Cid Raines is probably the only one that can actually meet the 250k damage requirement. Possibly if you blue armor every one of your characters with Keys, it might be possible to meet that, and if you reach max brave capacity, it's probably possible, but honestly speaking, Cid Raines is the character that I would highly recommend. I just don't think the other characters are quite enough for this, and unfortunately there are two characters that were part of the synergy team during the JP versions event, and in this case they are not in the global version, and these two characters are Tifa and Aphmau, and I thought I'd just let you guys know about this change in the global version. Anyway, moving on to how the fight works. Well, get ready for this. At the start of the battle, just as you come in, the boss will immediately have a 400k HP shield, and they will have increased HP damage, and will have reduced HP damage taken by 70%, except when you launch them, you cannot delay them, and they will also have a full recast bar up. That's just the start. The recast ability will also remove any debuffs it has, so there's no point in freezing it and stuff like that. And this will be followed up by an AoE Brave plus AoE HP attack that is delivered twice. Now, it can also apply a turn rate down debuff and a speed down debuff, which is pretty massive in this particular fight, because you want to be able to launch with all your team next to each other in the turn order, because if not, it's more than less likely you will be able to meet the 250k damage. However, like I said, if you have Cid Raines, it is quite possible to do so without much of the help from the others, but it still helps to have more characters in the turn order, in the right turn order. Next up, it will have a text after you reach less than 70 and 50%, saying that it's storing nutrients. This basically just gives it a massive brave gain, and when you get to less than 50% HP as well, it will get another HP shield and will refill its recast gauge once again. Pretty rough if you don't have Cid Raines. I'm just gonna tell you guys that right now, because Cid Raines is the key to beating this fight without too much hassle and without too much calculations in your head. You will also need the support of the Pandemonium Summon, because this does increase your overall damage while you do a knockback, increasing the overall damage you do while it's up in the air. Now, you're gonna have to launch like your life depends on it, because honestly it does depend on it. Setzer's freeze and rainbow damage buff are still very helpful. It still solves both the increased brave problem and he can still delay. So basically, once the recast gauge basically, has been used, it won't be immune to delay anymore. Plus, you can apply the freeze debuff, and when you hit those HP thresholds, it won't actually get the brave gain because it has a freeze. So that's how you solve that problem. Now, it does have this aura, which I mentioned earlier on, like having less HP damage, reduce HP damage, increase HP damage done, and stuff like that. In order for you to remove this buff, you will need to launch the boss once again, and you need to be able to do at least 200k damage up in the air in order for you to remove the buff. There will be a follow-up text saying something along the lines that, it's lost its power or something like that. Now, as for characters that you may want to bring, Cid Raines. That's it. Bring Cid Raines and bring any other character and you should be golden. Well, honestly, I would still say bring a healer or something along those lines just to reduce the amount of HP damage you are going to be taking. But overall, bring Cid Raines. That's the key. And as for cold characters, I would highly recommend debuffs. Although the boss can still remove the debuff. Anything a debuff that can actually increase the HP damage that you can do, like for example, Kurosame, and the Bronze is another one. These types of debuffs will help you increase your overall HP damage, since if you don't have the rainbow damage, you probably will not be doing your maximum brave damage. So increased HP damage, definitely helpful. And of course, if you don't plan on using Cid Raines for whatever reason in your main team, you can use him as a call character if you really want to struggle. I mean, I can't really say anything else. Alright guys, now moving on to the main party compositions that you may want to bring. Main team, first one is of course the video that you guys are seeing right now, which is Cid Raines, Setzer, Porom, and the cult team Kurosame, X-Death, and Hope. Support, I went with another Cid Raines and Pandemonium for summon. Pretty simple. Porom can hopefully let you survive the double HP attack if need be, and yeah, others just damage. The second one, Cid Raines, Aphmau, and Yuna with cult team of Kurosame, Jack, and Ignis. Support Setzer and Pandemonium for the summon. Pretty self-explanatory. You can kind of use Yuna's BT and let Yuna's BT, be there for a significant amount of time, thanks to Aphmau's and Cid Raines' ability to switch turns every time. Aphmau's LD will allow a character to basically take a turn once her turn is finished, and Cid Raines can just call her back and vice versa. And basically, it's a significant amount of turns that you will have Yuna's BT effect up. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be Yuna, but Yuna does heal a little bit a bigger chunk than Aphmau, so that's why I went with her. However, you can use, like, say for example, Bart's if you want more brave damage, since you can get a brave refund with his. So it's really up to you who you want for your burst effect. Now, the last team I have for you guys is Cid Raines, Y'shtola, and Aphmau. Like I mentioned earlier, you can basically switch out that last character. This time I went with Y'shtola, a little bit more brave game, but like I said, you can just bring whichever BT effect you prefer, and you should be pretty golden, as long as the synergy between Cid Raines and Aphmau works really well. The call team for this one is a little bit more defensive side. You have Warrior of Light and then Pestle. Warrior of Light can obviously defend you from the HP damage, which is really, really nice. And then you got Kurosame for extra HP damage, Setzer for the support, and Pandemonium for the summon. Alright guys, so we're finally at the end of this video, and of course I'll give you guys my final thoughts regarding the fight. Now, back in JP, when Cid Raines first came out, I think there was quite a few people that felt like this was kind of like a force pull character. However, even though it was a force pull character, he was so good that I think a lot of people didn't mind. So, you know, here in Global, I kind of feel it's still the same. Now, can you beat this fight without Cid Raines? I think it's possible. I mean, people have done it in the JP version. Now, there is one caveat, and I mentioned it earlier in this video, and that is Tifa and Aphmau are not a synergy character for Cid Raines' event in the global version. How big of a difference does this make? Honestly, maybe to some people it will be a game changer if they don't really like or don't want to pull for Cid Raines. So, Aphmau, I know quite a lot of people pulled, and if those people pulled on her, expecting her to be synergy here, well, her stats are obviously going to be not synergized. So, you're gonna have less attack, less defense, less HP, blah blah blah, right? There are some people in JP who managed to beat this without Cid Raines, even as a friend support, but they did have to use Aphmau. Now, there are some videos that were that are out there that managed to beat this even without Aphmau and Cid Raines, even as their friend support. Now, I will link in the description down below, you know, the Tonberry Troops guides to Lufenia research, and if you look down to Cid Raines' event, there are quite a few listed teams that were able to do this without Cid Raines. I believe at the time of this recording it should be right at the bottom, but obviously if you're watching this later on, if there's new events, it obviously you just have to look for it. Now, I didn't put it in my recommendation because I feel like in order to achieve or defeat this fight as less struggle as possible, Cid Raines is a must. But if you don't really want to use Cid Raines, there is this alternative. Like I said, I'll leave the link down in the description below, and hopefully you guys can beat it without using Cid Raines, or even just using Cid Raines as a friend support. There's some videos there as well. So, do I feel like this fight is hard? That depends. Did you pull on Cid Raines? And if you watch my pull video, you know that I ended up pitying him, and you know, I was prepared for it. I was prepared to pull for him because I knew how hard this fight was going to be without Cid Raines. Anyway, guys, I think I will end the video right here. Please do remember to click like and subscribe if you haven't already. It does help the channel, and I would really appreciate it if you share this video as well to other DFFO players who are struggling with their Lufenia Plus fights. And hopefully this video does help them, and check out my other videos on other Lufenia fights in the channel. And make sure to follow me on Facebook and on Twitter at Munchkins Gaming. Leave down in the comments below what your team was. Did you not use Cid Raines? Let me know down in the comments below. And yeah, this is Munchkins logging off. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next level.